Hello.
Hey,
Hey.
what's going on, Sean? How are you this week?
Pretty good. Long day at work today, but looking forward to getting on and doing something not work related for this evening.
Yeah, me too. Been a busy week already. I basically started a new role at work, so a lot busier at work. How's the
Right.
pups doing?
Oh, one pup. Well, she's good. She's sleeping just over there. So she's good. She's clear of the vets for a little while. We just have to do some just monitoring of food for her, so it's pretty easy. Other pup is doing better in the sense that we had a road to recovery. It's a pretty long one though, 6 weeks. She's got a ruptured part of her spine, I guess fluid, something CVD or something like that it's called. So basically it's super restricted, so she's got to be kenneled most of the day, and but the medication's good. She's a lot more active than she was, but we have to actually restrict the exercise, so it's just a little bit of monitoring and about a 6 week recovery to see where we're at. So prognosis is much better than it was last week. So
That sucks, man, but glad to hear, she's still doing okay and you and the family are doing okay and
yeah.
wish her a speedy recovery for
You
sure.
you bet. I'm actually curious if we even need to do a show. Keith's just pointed out that the best part of this, I think he's referring to the podcast, is actually our intro song. So I might just like throw that up for like an hour. You and I
Fair
can,
enough.
go off and do things. We'll come back and say goodbye to the people and acknowledge our donators, and we're good. So
All right. Yeah, fair
fair,
enough.
fair,
Fair
awesome.
enough.
Speaking of that, I guess we got some housekeeping. So how about I rip through the housekeeping and then you can tell everyone about your big RPQ on the weekend.
Prime, not an
Prime,
RPQ
prime.
anymore,
Oh my
right?
goodness. I've literally said RPQ, just whatever. It's whatever it is. Next week it's gonna be called something else, and
No
then
one
I'll
ever knows. No one
yeah.
ever knows. Yep.
It's a thing. Thanks a lot to people wishing the pups some good health there. That's fantastic. So let me rip here from the top. I'll throw this over onto the screen. There we go. Music's going to cut in there for a second, so I'm going to speak over that. Actually, I'll go ahead and just maybe pause that. So what we got going on this Friday, 7 p.m. We'll start at 7. We're going to actually have another double header. So we missed last week's Friday night fight. That was on me. I had an emergency vet visit, so that was following the Tuesday podcast. So I'll own that one. But yeah, this week we got a double header. I'm not 100% sure who's all playing. I think this week may actually be unique in the fact that we're going to have a bunch of people, and it may just be a question
Mm.
of who actually fights to get on stream. So we might actually have a pre Friday night fight to see who's fighting on
All
stream.
right.
So
All right. Make sure
yeah.
you film that. That's good
Oh,
stuff. That's good content.
that's B-roll footage for
Yeah.
sure. I'll splice that in on the intro and the between turn stuff. So
I'm like, someone just power bombed someone through the Kashyyyk table.
oh, bad news for patrons. Yeah, so we'll have that happening on Friday. So looking forward to that. I'm pretty sure we're going to see some clone action, maybe some clone v droid action. So that's
Nice.
cool. And then I think maybe Keith's thinking about coming on, and he's working on Rebels. So we'll see there. And then I'm not sure who he'll face,
Okay.
but I'm either going to play or cast both, but I'll be around for sure. And if I'm not doing either one of those, I'm going to try to sneak an 800-point game on the side. And I know we had some questions about 800-point games. They will be coming on post Worlds.
Hmm.
We're still working on getting that third camera, which is really important to kind of making those look proper. So we're hoping to get that around sometime around April. So that's this week. So that's on Friday. Then we have, let me just bring this up. That's a promo screen. So let me again pause the music for you guys. Let me just briefly intro tonight's show. So Joe and I are gonna, we'll probably keep it to around an hour 15 or so. We've been doing some marathon sessions here. So, in
Yeah.
preservation of Joe and I's personal life, we would like to keep our respective family members happy, even though we like hanging out with you guys, but probably won't be pulling a 3 hour show tonight. But we are going to talk here tonight about Adepticon, so just general musings about that, what Joe and I are doing to get ready for that. I am traveling, Jace is traveling with me, Chris Kerr's meeting up with us, Paul Watson. We're all going to be crashing and invading Joe's house, and that's going to be our Adepticon weekend. So let's just that's going to be fun in general. And then there's a small little thing called Worlds that we're also going to be playing in. So
Just a
um,
casual, small
yeah,
tournament.
yeah, I think it's like a local RPQ, I think is
Yeah,
what it's referred to as. So
yeah.
yeah, so we'll be hanging out doing that, and yeah, so we're just going to be talking about general world stuff, how the RPQs impacted potentially a worlds list or not, and then kind of things that making some predictions, and of course we're looking for you guys in chat to help us out with that. Tell us what your thoughts are around that. Then I'm going to turn it over to Joe real quick because I want him to talk about, even though this number is not accurate, I don't think we properly anticipated how fantastic the token ordering is. So I'm going to let Joe take that away.
Yeah, so we placed the order and 195 sets. So
Wow.
absolutely insane. Was not expecting to get that many, but here we are. So we're really looking forward to it. They're starting production on them as of today, so I've been in email contact with the company. We haven't finalized the Adepticon specific token yet. However, the order like includes paying for those tokens, so the representative at the company just assured me like as soon as you finalize that logo, just send it my way. It's not a big deal. It's only 40 chips. We bumped it up to 40 from 30, just to make sure, because a lot of people reached out and said that they wanted to pick them up at Adepticon. So I was like, you know what, let's add 10 more just to make sure that we have enough. So yeah, designing that, still finalizing that design. I'm planning on working on it a little bit more tonight and sending it off to them. But either way, they're printing the chips for us right now, so we're looking
I
good.
just want to be there when Joe throws his back out when he picks this package up and
Oh
forgets
man,
what's actually in there. So,
I was
uh,
wondering. So I'm like, they tacked on $45 for shipping for all. I think there was like, ah, I don't know. It was like almost. It was like 3,500 chips or something around
yeah.
there. And I'm like, how is that shipping cost actually going to cover that? How many boxes is this going to come in? And like, what is this going to weigh? Because my set of poker chips that I have from like LVO and stuff is actually pretty heavy. Now we're going to be dealing with 195 of them, so it'll
Okay.
be interesting.
So just a small little piece around shipping. So okay, let me jump back to Joe and I so you can have some talking heads here, and we'll bring up our donation screen here about the midway point, and we'll acknowledge those folks just so we can get some more people in chat here. Um, so this is an aside. We right now, and we'll talk more about the what you can get and can't get, but I want to share this story. So I couldn't get any saber tanks or tanks for that matter, and I really want to at least get some chance to play and see if the tanks are viable, see if I want to use one, that sort of stuff. So I reached out on the net and said, "Hey, if people have access to tanks, can you let me know? I'm interested in getting some." I was telling Joe this story last night. Within 1 hour, 7 people sent me messages that they were all willing to buy tanks and send them my way, which is fantastic. So
Yeah.
Nick, who's in Joe's area, reached out and said, "Hey, I can get you some tanks." He went out, he made special trips, he got me tanks. He had one. I don't want to
Hmm.
say what it's for because it's kind of a surprise, and I don't know if that person's listening. But anyways, he had one and he got me another one. He went to UPS to send them to me. Now I live in Saskatchewan. I live in a major
Hmm.
city in Saskatchewan. There's two. They're not huge, but they're not by any means in the middle of nowhere. $235 to send me two saber tanks is what they wanted to charge, and it wasn't even a fast shipping method. Now, I didn't pay $235 for shipping. He found a cheaper way to send them. Still
Hmm.
fairly expensive, but way less than that. So when you
Yeah.
said $45 to send 3,500 poker chips,
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how the math works on that.
I was
Like,
like, okay, sure. But
yeah,
yeah, don't go to UPS. Like
well, it
especially
wasn't
for
me.
international shipping,
Yeah,
like that's just insane. That is
yeah,
insane. I think
yeah.
UPS is probably good for like freight and stuff, pallets. But like, yeah, I
Well,
don't
but what's a
know.
pallet cost? Like $750,000? Like just like it's this number that doesn't even exist. Yeah, like it'll be 3.5 quarters of a millions,
Yeah,
just
okay.
making up
Yeah,
numbers here. So yeah, what a crazy story. And when you said 45, yeah, there you go. Ethan O Canada, you bet.
yeah.
Probably would have got tacked with customs. That would have been another couple hundred. And yeah, who knows? Dangerous goods. Yeah, it's tank
Who,
parts.
who even knows? Yeah, who
Yeah,
even knows what Canadian to U.S. dollar conversion rate is anyway? You
it's
guys
just
have funny
whatever.
money up there.
It's whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
it's it's just whatever. So yeah, so funny story. So we totally aren't talking about that, but we are going to be talking about kind of what you could get and what people have. So that's a general conversation that we'll have. But let's first hear about your not RPQ, but your Prime that you played in this weekend.
yeah. So I won a prime. It was a smaller one. There were 16 players in it this time. It was in Grays Lake, Illinois, which is actually quite a nice little pretty town that I've never actually been to. It's about an hour and a half away from my house. Really nice people. A lot of the same people we've been seeing at the Madison Prime and the Game Storm Prime and just kind of the Midwest guys. Jay was there. Dylan, thank you for TOing. Like Dylan already has an invite, so he volunteered to TO so other people could play. But I've seen him at pretty much every prime in the Midwest that I've been to so far.
Yeah,
Um,
he was at the Game Storm one.
yep, and
Yep.
the Madison, Wisconsin one that I was at.
Right.
Um, there were few people there with invites, but it's basically like the last chance qualifier before Adepticon. So I gotta admit, I have a little bit of a guilty conscience about even going and playing in it, but I'm kind of split on how I feel about it because on the one hand, yes, I'm very happy that I won. Yes, I'm very happy that I got to practice one of my four potential worlds lists that I'm working on.
Right.
I played Double the Fall, but I swapped out. It wasn't the same one I won Game Storm's Prime with. I swapped out one of my E5Cs for an E5S and another one of my E5Cs for a Poison Squad 8-man.
Right.
And yeah, they were. It was really effective as usual. I love that list, but I wanted to see how that list handles in a competitive world where like Operative Luke and Operative Vader are a thing. And I
Right.
got
Did you see a
lucky.
lot of them? Did you see a
Yeah,
lot of?
I played an Operative Vader Krennic list in my first round. I played a clone triple bark list in my second round, and I played an Operative Luke triple rotary list in my third round that had a
Right.
couple of DLT rebels as well. But what I'm getting at here is honestly, like after some self reflection, I really think I should have just volunteered to like TO that event and not played in it because I played two like local guys who I consider friends who don't have invites yet, and I eliminated both of them from their chance of getting an invite. And then that
Right.
just like didn't feel good.
Yeah.
Like it felt kind of gross. And I'm like, well, I'm here with an invite playing, and it's like, So it was like a bittersweet win. I'm happy I got to practice. I'm happy I won it, but at the same time, I'm like, I kind of feel not great about it. But it is what it is. I mean, that's just, I guess, how these invite only. It's kind of weird with these tournaments and like no last chance qualifier at Adepticon. It's like beating a dead horse to keep talking about this, but
Yeah.
it's still fine. So.
Yeah.
Operative Luke is really good, but doesn't have all the answers that he normally has against other lists when going up against Double the Fall because he can't get that command card off against droids, which is
Right.
interesting.
Yeah.
And I found some interesting uses for the radiation cannon. I'm only taking one in my list,
Hmm.
and I feel like you don't really need to do anything with it half the time, and it's just threatening enough to like area
Hmm.
deny.
How
You know,
focused down did you find that you're like in terms of order priority, in terms of what your opponents were going for? Was radiation cannon seemingly number one, or
I was trying to not give them shots at it. So
Right.
because I wanted to use it to like area deny. So obviously with double the fall, one of its strengths is that as long as you position everything correctly and you pretty much have perfect activation control every single turn,
Right.
right? And
Yep.
so all you what you can do in that case is like if you can't deploy like in safely, you just go first with the radiation cannon and like double move it or something,
Right.
or and get it hidden. And that's basically what I was doing.
I
Um,
know you gave your loadout, Joe, but do you want to just run through your Grievous and Dooku too, just so people kind of know what
sure,
you're? Yeah.
sure. So Dooku, I run push, choke, reflexes, and a steam leader. It's in my opinion the best build. I think that saber throw is not great on Dooku.
Agreed.
I know some people are taking it for that one pip, but I think that's a horrible use of the one pip.
Hmm.
I'd rather kill two targets and not one.
Yep.
Second thing is Grievous is running uh, his Annihilator pistol, strict
Yep.
orders, aggressive tactics, and endurance.
Yep.
I think endurance is so much better than tenacity on Grievous because Grievous needs two actions every turn.
I actually really secretly
And
think that endurance is one of the better command cards to take on multiple commanders.
uh,
I've been using it
oper-
on a Sabine. I've been using it on Rex.
Operative Vader, I think, needs it.
Yeah.
I think. Oh, the dog's saying hi.
No, she's over there just scratching. I'm not sure what's
Yeah.
going on. Just decided that was a thing. So, yeah.
But yeah, on Operative Vader, I think Tenacity is so tempting, but there's so many suppressive lists in the meta right now, and so many opportunities to suppress out characters that I think Endurance is kind of undervalued or under-respected. So yeah, I don't leave home without it after playing a game against Paul a few months ago where he put like 9 suppression on my Grievous and I just like couldn't do anything with him the rest of the game, and then I just like immediately hard swap to endurance and haven't looked
Yeah.
back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great card. I think it's costed pretty well, and it's a card that kicks in, um, every turn. It's very much very passive, but like there's no need to recover on it. It's situational, of course, but it's like a nice insurance policy to have. So if you don't use it, I don't feel like it's wasteful, because it could actually be a deterrent for people trying to like overly suppress your commanders as well. It's like, well, they're stripping two anyway, so
hmm
maybe it's not worth focusing them down. So yeah, I found
The,
it's
the
been had good value.
the way that I play that list ends up ultimately being in like the early turns, Grievous is going to just get shot.
This this is not even the one that's usually annoying, so she's just down here. So yeah,
Yeah. But yeah, so like basically the way that I play that list is there just comes a point where you're just going to have to accept the fact that Grievous is going to get shot a few times. So endurance makes that a little safer, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, Grievous is one of the biggest things that he's really worried about and susceptible to is getting suppressed and only having that single action. You need to have a very
Right.
mobile Grievous, I find. So if you're able to slow him down with any effects, then that really well often say a one action Grievous is a dead Grievous kind of thing. So
Yeah, and it's like one of those things where the only turn that he's probably not getting access to at least one, if not more, surge tokens is Dooku's one pip.
mhm.
So as long as like he's pretty defensive. He's got a lot of health. He can usually weather like 2 or 3 shots without dying,
Mhm.
and he's just vulnerable to suppression. So you
Yeah.
just want to prevent that. Yep.
Um,
Yep.
so let's throw this out because you and I had a brief chat about this last night, and again, not to draw any negative attention to anything, but Joe and I were kind of talking about like people are still qualifying for Worlds right
hmm
now. So if it wasn't Joe and it was somebody without an invite, they can get in.
Hmm.
We're very close. We're within the same month. So Joe and I were kind of speculating, and I kind of proposed that I think that maybe Worlds invites need to be cut off further
Earlier.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I mean is like this one could still happen, but the winner of this event would qualify for the following one. So I know that
Yeah.
maybe also maybe see premature and it's far out from next year's Worlds, but you know, as Joe pointed out, there was a few people there with invites, and I assume that as these primes are happening, more and more people are going. You're going because you want to play competitive Legion. You're going because you enjoy Legion. You may be going because you're trying to tune up Worlds lists. You have an
Exactly.
invite. You want to play against competitive people, and this
Hmm.
is your platform to do so. But as
Right.
Joe's pointed out, he's kind of got some mixed emotions around eliminating two friends, but two friends who don't have invites either.
Right.
And so perhaps there's that that level playing field where Joe's not playing with no pressure because he could be playing to compete for a World's invite next year. Other
Hmm.
people are also knowing that and don't kind of feel, and I'm not saying they did, but kind of don't feel like, oh well, DePinto's here burning invites, or Morris is here
Right.
burning invites. And I don't want to be, as a player, I don't want to be put in that position either.
Right.
So I'll let you share your thoughts around that, Joe. But of course, we got a bunch of people in chat, and we'd love to hear kind of what you think about that. Let's just say you're a player with an invite and you're playing at tournaments right now. Do you feel that? If you're a player without an invite, do you have a particular feeling one way or the other against playing events against people who do have invites? Do you feel people are burning them? Do you feel that they should be excluded from events? What are your thoughts? There's no wrong opinion here, but love to kind of hear what you guys think about that, and then we'll kind of talk about some other world-related events.
Yeah, it's tough because at the end of the day, how often do I get to play people from Wisconsin or Ohio, right? So I want to go to every prime that I can reasonably drive to in like the Midwest,
Yep.
just for the practice and for the
Hmm.
camaraderie and to meet people and see people, but really to just be like, okay, I can go to Game Storm or J. Crew games or play it at my table at my house and play against like the same guys week in and week out. But how often do I get a chance to potentially face Jay, without driving several hours? So I don't want to stop going to primes even though I have an invite, because at the end of the day it's practice. It's high level practice. Everyone there is trying to win for the most
Yeah.
part. Yeah, there's some people there that are like, I'm just here having fun. I'm the local guy. I'm not going to drive anywhere, but this is my local store. And those people tend to like go 0 and 4 or whatever, and it's fine. Like, I'm all about those people. Maybe you play them in the first round, right? And that's great.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, like, I do want to try, especially in rounds like 2 and 3, to play like some hardcore competitive games for the practice. And also, it's playing a 4 or 5 round tournament in one day does a lot for like your stamina and mental clarity, and it kind of tests that, and it gives you almost a whole different way that you're preparing for Worlds. You're like, I got to play 4 games in one day. So in game 4, I got to not run out of gas. So it gives you that sort of prep as well. Um, do I do I feel great about eliminating people that are playing for their invite? Not at all. Feel
Yep.
horrible about it. But
Hmm.
also at the same time, there's like it's like a double-edged sword, because you can say, well, you still didn't win the tournament, right? And the condition for getting the invite is winning the tournament. It just so happens that that's not the case at primes, though, because the invites get passed down.
Yeah.
Just kind of weird, but
So just catching up with chat. It's good that you're on that point, so I'll let you handle this one. So a couple of people are asking around. So let's just be clear. At the primes, if Joe one has an invite, it doesn't get burned. It gets
right.
passed down. Now, for let's just clarify that on the other side.
Yeah.
LVO, 8 guys going into the top 8, all had invites.
Right.
There was no trickle down of those invites past those people. Now
Hmm.
they were only giving out four, but because all eight, there was no trickle down past the eight, so those
Yeah.
invites did get burned. Now at Joe's one, there's a question right here from Tonio. He's saying, "What happens to the invite if someone with an invite wins?" So this is the
Yeah.
situation with Joe. So I'll let you explain.
It goes down to the next person. However, um, at Game Storm's prime, at the top table was me and Paul Watson, and both of us had invites.
Hmm.
So the invite actually got passed down to the third place person. So there was a person who earned an invite who didn't even need to play the final game. They got
Hmm.
to just drive home while like me and Paul played for essentially like a box with Vader art on it and some foam trays that's too small to even bring a whole army in, which is the weirdest prize ever. And then, a coin, essentially.
Right.
But yeah, it's kind of weird. I mean, this topic has been visited like for the whole season pretty much.
Yeah.
I think organized play is going to potentially revisit like their entire next year's tournament structure after Worlds. I know they've talked about that. I'm actually really excited to see what those changes are going to be. First of all, we know we're getting that new silhouette rule. We're getting the
Hmm.
measurements for the silhouettes. We're getting a whole new tournament document. We're getting a potential new like non-strength of schedule tiebreaker system, so it looks
Yeah.
like they're going to come up with like a whole different option for that because that's been a point of contention. And maybe they'll change how primes are working and how invites are working and invite burning and stuff like that, so we'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
um
There was just a question in chat, and just to clarify, Joe kind of covered this. So Joe has an invite.
mhm.
Although he's not burning invites, what he was talking about before was like potentially playing people on the climb to the top who
Yeah,
don't have invites. So
right,
he's effectively burning their chance, if you will,
right,
at getting that invite. Now there could
right.
be trickle down and things like that. So that's kind of that progression to the top. So
Yeah, it's
it.
weird where like in this case, the other the other player for top table didn't have an invite. So the only way for me to make top table and not burn an invite was for someone else without an invite to also go undefeated. So
Mhm.
what that means is that like in round 2 when I win and someone loses, they're now, you know, 1-1, or
Mhm.
in round 3 they're 2-1, meaning they're probably not going to play for top table because they're not going to be undefeated.
Yeah.
So had both of the top table players been undefeated, both of the top table undefeated players had invites, it would have got passed down to someone with a loss. But
Mhm.
in this case, that like didn't happen. And then like the final game essentially was irrelevant, win or lose. Like my opponent was just going to automatically get the invite no matter what,
Yeah.
which is also like weird because you know,
So
yeah.
this is not where we're going to go tonight, but it's an interesting topic. So we're having a little event here in the studio on the 15th, and what we've decided is we're going to do a skirmish event. What we decided is we want to play 4 rounds. Everyone plays 4 rounds, and
Hmm.
then we're going to decide the top down from that. So what would you feel like if rather than play 3 rounds and have a cut to two,
Hmm.
if everyone got four, and I mean, obviously, if people want to drop and don't play the fourth game, that's completely optional. But
Right.
how would you like if tournaments were four, where everyone got that, and there was a chance at potentially going 3-1 and still having a shot at that top prize? Do you like formats where everyone plays
See,
the same games or not?
no, I
Yeah, I mean,
don't. Not when there's an invite on the line, because at that point, and I'm no expert on understanding like breakdowns of strength of schedule versus MOV versus everything else, but it sounds like that's a pure strength of schedule tournament, which is I don't like. Where you're
well,
like,
if
oh,
if
you know.
you don't
Go
have
ahead.
to use strength of schedule if there's another format, right? So like you would do that often in
True.
X-Wing where there's MOV. So
Right.
you are not just getting to the point where it's like, okay, I need to go 3-0 in here, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to press, I'm going to push. I'm not going to there's no preservation I need to. I just need to get that top table. But if you're playing a fourth game and there's other potential people who could have a maybe perhaps the same schedule as you, or they're 2-1 and then you go 3-0, but then you lose your fourth game and they win their fourth game. Now you're 3-1, and that press that you made to go 3-0 maybe ends up hurting you.
Yeah.
So it may we don't know what the new schedule is going to look like, the new structure is going to look like. I'm interested to see if it's actually going to influence how each game is played in terms of like we've all had those games where we've probably won with fewer models than our opponents who we beat.
Hmm.
And we've all probably had those games where we've lost and we have more models than our opponent has.
Yeah.
And
I,
so
I
sometimes those
like
don't feel like the best ones.
I like how like Lord of the Rings, and I'm assuming maybe other W games do this as well, but I've never really like played them competitively. But Lord of the Rings has like a major loss, a minor loss, essentially like a tie, and then like a minor victory and a major victory. And then
Right.
there's like a corresponding amount of tournament points that you're awarded. I think it's like 0 through 4 at
Hmm.
the end of each round. So that is what the tiebreaker system is. So like you can win but like barely and then
Yep.
not be rewarded for someone who like table like as strongly as someone who like tables their opponent, for example. And it discourages that like turtling mechanic, which I honestly hate about Legion. And I hate the play style of people that are like, I'm gonna try to be blue player and force moisture evaporators and force limb viz and heal my vaps on turn one and then put my entire army behind buildings and make you come to me and
Yep.
not do anything the rest of the game. I'm gonna stand here for 2.5 hours. Might as well just like smoke a cigarette. Like
Yep.
it's like the lamest way to war game in my opinion. It's a viable tactic. You can win your games. I'm not saying you're a bad person for doing that. I've done it. But I hate it. And I like when games are high action and I like when games involve rolling a lot of dice and a proper like major versus minor victory system kind of fixes that because it forces you to actually shoot and play the game because you're more rewarded for actually killing your opponent's models as opposed to like I didn't lose any activations and I sat behind this wall and I won the tiebreaker. And by the way, don't smoke. That was a joke. I don't
Yeah.
smoke. It was supposed to be
I,
sarcastic,
I got
but
us. I got us covered in a
yeah.
hashtag. We're good. Don't smoke, kids. That's our message. We're still YouTube kid friendly. We're good.
Right, right. Well, yeah, you know what I mean. You know what I
Yeah.
mean. It's like,
Yeah. Well,
man,
okay. So
might as well go stand outside for 10 minutes and then come back in, right?
right.
So
So we weren't
yeah,
talking
that's
about this tonight, but I really I do like this. I like this topic, so I wanna poke this one more minute here. So in Flames of War, what we had is a scoring system where it was a 6-1, a 5-2, and a 4-3, and so
mm,
your victory was awarded based on the preservation of your units. So if you
yeah.
lost one, you drop points. So
Mm,
if you still won, you'd reach a max threshold after you've lost a unit, then you drop down. After you lost two, you drop down, and if as long as you won, you still won 4-3. So it rewarded your opponent for even if they were going to lose, because we all know those games where potentially it just looks dire for us. So
mhm.
if you're going to lose, you could go and press for as many points in a loss as possible. So
Right.
there's that. However, I perhaps may like a system where it starts in the middle and where you actually work your way up from a middle score. So it's not like you're working your way down progressively
Yeah.
to a minor victory. It's
Yeah.
actually everyone starts there and you have to work your way to a major victory. So, I mean, this is all speculation,
Yeah.
but I like the idea because what it does is it gets away from people sitting there smoking. It gets
Right.
away from
Right.
people doing nothing in a game for 6 turns. And actually
Mm,
rewards people win or lose for being somewhat aggressive or at least pressing for the objectives. Um,
Right, right.
and given
Yeah.
the fact that we
I
know
feel like
time,
not to interrupt you, but I feel like in a game of moisture evaporators, you should get a bonus to your victory for like 3 or 4 capping as opposed to 2 capping and tying and winning on MOB. That's all.
right?
That's my. And I honestly, I have a feeling the new system is like that.
Yeah,
It's just a matter of how they're going to actually define those rules, since
right,
all the objectives are so different. But
right.
there's plenty of other war games that standardize like a 0 through 4 or like a 0.25, 0.5, 0.75, and 1.0
Hmm.
system,
Yep.
and all their objectives are different. And there's like just a way to quantify that. So
Right.
we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll
So
see.
this is a fantastic segue for us. This is not happening. We're not seeing this new schedule come out prior to, or this new format prior to Worlds,
Right.
scoring format. Let me just clarify. We aren't going to see the silhouette come out, but we are going to see a number of things potentially influencing Worlds. So we'll do that. Let's just jump over and just acknowledge our pledgers here just before we do that. So as always, super humbled and love the fact that people are willing to help us out financially here at the studio. We're just continuing to reinvest. We've invested a ton of our own money to kind of bring you guys this. Hopefully, you guys are seeing it on the production end of things. But Michael, Nathan, Mike, Alpaz, friend of the show. By the way, was Alpaz friend of the show at the rally point or the Prime?
I don't think so. No, I know for sure he definitely wasn't. I
Right.
think I don't know because I wasn't there, but there was a simultaneous Lord of the Rings like
Oh,
annual tournament going on that day, and
yeah.
Paul Watson I know was there.
Okay.
Paul actually stayed at my house so that he can go to the Lord of the Rings tournament, and I
Wow.
went to the Prime, and then we
Wow.
met back up at night. And I know Al plays Lord of the Rings too, so he actually I know for sure he was there because Paul told me he played his undead army or his King of the
Just on
Dead.
the
So
on
yeah,
the circuit, that guy.
man,
All right.
honestly, that tournament sets a precedence for how I would love to run Legion tournaments from like a prize kit perspective.
Nice.
It sounded like they just had amazing prize support, like tons of 3D printed trophies with like different gimmicky ways to win them. It was like first person to kill a hero gets a trophy. First person to have their hero killed in a game gets the ass clown trophy. And like it's just like all these like silly little things, and then like tons of models were given away and like dice and all this cool stuff. And I was like, man, if we could get stuff like that going for some of these Legion events, that would have been awesome.
Right.
So hopefully I can help make that happen with some of our events that we've got coming up in the future.
Fair.
Yeah.
In addition, Jeff Arney, of course, Nick Smith, thanks very much. Special shout out to Nick because he really hooked me up, helping me out getting the tank. So we are 270 credits. We're holding fast there, which is fine. We're working our way up to 700. So anything you guys are willing to contribute, it doesn't have to be substantial amounts or anything like that, but every little bit helps. I'm just going to put that a hashtag up there. There goes our ratings because Joe said ass clown. Um,
So
but
I'm
any
just saying that's what it's called.
fair, any donations are made to the Terrain Studio 2019 at gmail.com, and we do appreciate that. You'll be added to our acknowledgement wall, and we will acknowledge you on each show. So, all
All
right,
right.
Joe, let's jump back over here. Worlds, it's
Yeah.
inbound. We
Worlds.
are imminent. It's imminent.
Yes.
Let's start off with first the one change that FFG has announced referenced the tanks in case people didn't
Yeah.
know about that. So
Yeah.
you want to
I'll
give us
talk
that
about it.
intel? Sure, yeah, you bet.
So, got an invite from FFG Organized Play saying, "Hey, here's what's going on. We know that the AAT is delayed. It comes out at retail on March 20th. That's well within the 11-day window because I think what Adepticon starts on the 25th or something.
Yeah.
Um, so you guys aren't going to be able to get your AAT, early enough for what would normally have been legal in terms of like the floor rules and the tournament regs. they're saying the AAT is legal. They're going to have a surplus of them available at Adepticon for anyone who wants to purchase one who couldn't get one at their retailer because of said delays. And they're changing the rule, the painting requirement, to say that the AAT is exempt. It is the only model that is exempt at all of Adepticon for any single game that is exempt from the 3-color minimum painting requirement, because that is an Adepticon house rule for every single game. But because the model is not going to be available due to delays, I'm assuming this has something to do with the coronavirus and all the like factories in China being shut down and supply chains being totally destroyed. I'm seeing it in my industry. We're seeing it in the stock market. We're seeing it all across the world. It's kind of out of everyone's hands. I'm assuming that is what's holding this up.
Right.
So nothing anyone can do about that. It's not an FFG problem. This is
No.
literally just like a world crisis, and it's just something that's happening, right? It
I,
sucks.
I mean, good on them
So,
though for allowing
yes.
us to kind of get these tanks
Yep.
up in played at Worlds. I mean, I think what better place to showcase it than at Worlds? There's going to be a ton of people. I'm looking forward to seeing how many people actually want to field tanks. I mean,
Mhm.
literally, it feels like hours after people were saying, "Hey, got my tank," I started to see painted ones.
Yeah,
So
people
even
are
though people
excited.
are getting them late, I still feel that people are going to be. I mean, if I was taking a tank, I feel that finally I don't have to repaint it gray. I can just take it out of the box and play it gray. So I feel good
Yeah.
about that.
Me and
Yeah.
Paul cracked one open. I got one over the weekend, and we were just like admiring it. And I've got 2 more coming in the mail, so I sent him home with the tank, and I'm waiting for mine to come in the mail this week. But man, they're awesome and they're huge. And also, what's interesting is that with the AAT specifically about that email, they gave you like the exact dimensions. They're like, go ahead and
Yep.
proxy it. Like it's approximately 10 centimeters tall, like all these different things. So
Yep.
that's cool. Basically, that's going to be legal at Worlds. Probably see a lot of gray ones. We might see a couple that are painted because,
Yeah.
like you said, there's people that are just going to get it and airbrush it like day one.
I'll tell you, Al
So
Paz isn't going to have a painted one if he's taking tanks. That guy could have 6 months preparation. It's still coming gray. Just
dude, it's
saying. Just
meticulously painted gray.
yeah, for
It's
sure.
yeah,
He's
real
just got the
Mexicanos.
sprue. He's just got the sprues all stacked up to on the base. He's
Uh,
like some assembly required. I thought this was push fit.
uh,
It's
but
good
yeah,
old.
those the saber tank's huge and awesome and super
Oh,
cool.
for
I'm
yeah,
fully expecting to see quite a bit of them at Worlds.
yeah.
Uh, I'm fully expecting to see a number of AATs as well. I mean, they're
Mm,
fully spoiled. We know what everything is. We know what their dice pool is. We can practice them,
yep.
uh, and they're quite good.
Yeah. Chat shout out. We're gonna see more
Yeah.
sabers or more AATs. So we want to
Mm.
see. Just cast your vote down there. So
So
we'll
let me
keep
ask
track
you
of that.
something about AAT.
Okay.
If you're running just one in a list, do you go Dooku or Grievous?
Grievous.
I go Dooku.
Then that's where we disagree, and this
Yeah,
podcast is
fair
now
enough.
over. I
No, I
said good
respect. I
day, sir.
respect it. I respect the difference.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, it's cool. So fair enough. So both are good. You
Yeah.
heard it
Fair
here.
enough. Yeah. Let me ask you: 3 tauntauns or 3 tauntauns? What do you run?
uh,
Yeah.
I,
Oh, we
I,
get.
I take my AAT and I double high velocity those tauntauns.
Oh man, talk
So
about just everything that I think about when I think about AAT. I'm just like, okay, maximum firepower every turn, love it. Snipers, goodbye.
yeah,
Tauntaun, it's a tauntaun killer, straight tauntaun killer.
yep.
Um, Let me ask you this: naked AAT. Let's take Lock Dirt out of the equation because if you're not taking him, I feel he's very valuable.
Mhm.
Even with the tap mechanic. But let me ask you this: Ordnance or naked AAT?
Well, it depends on the list, but I like ordnance. I mean, I like to. I mean, I think I like to. I like multiple options there, and I'd have to play with all of them more over the next couple weeks to decide which one I truly like best. But I'm I'm expecting to see a lot of armor at Worlds, so therefore I'm not ruling out the viability of the high impact
See, here's
shells.
here's where I'm at. High energy gives you high velocity. Okay.
Yeah.
It Arsenal 2 fine. You're gonna make your big pool what, six, I think it's six red, two and a white, six red and a white, but it's gonna be a
Yeah.
single pool. And the naked version is two pools of red and they're also high velocity. So you're adding a keyword from the high energy shells that you already have. You're losing it on the armor piercing shells.
Yeah, armor
So,
piercing. Did I say
yeah.
high
No,
velocity?
no, no, no.
I'm
I
okay.
did. I'm just saying the
Okay.
high energy. I'm just saying like I'm just trying to make a case for if I'm not trying to go armor, I don't think there's to go anything and to just add in more points for something that I'm probably going to want to just have locked or being suppressive. I want to just double tap anyway. Therefore, I'm probably not using Arsenal. So I
Yeah.
like you know what I mean. That's kind of where I settled out. It's all about role distinction in terms of like what you're defining and what you want to
Yeah.
do with that. For me, I'd want it to be a nice suppressive generator because you don't have a lot of suppressive in the list. I also probably I see that ordnance is basically another droid body, and another droid body means preservation of the heavy weapon that I've invested in the unit as well.
Yeah.
You know what I
I
mean? So
yeah, for sure. No, I agree with you. Um, I think droids are interesting because they actually probably bring the most good anti-armor answers to the table of any faction.
without
Like,
investing in the AAT ordnance, you mean?
well, just in general, I mean,
Yeah.
the rocket is
Mm-hmm.
not bad at shooting at troopers, but
Yep.
it's particularly strong against armor. And
Yep.
I still think even if you run like a naked AAT or you put like some different like a different ordnance on it, for
Mm-hmm.
example, than the armor piercing, you should still probably throw like a rocket or two in your list.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you know how to play it smartly with the recover actions and stuff. But
Yep.
I find that and this is my thought in general about like the world's meta. Yeah, we're gonna see Tauntaun lists. Yeah, looking at Europe, we might even see like a bunch of speeder bike lists. That seems like an interesting thing now. That's kind of getting some traction. I know Jay's been running it for this whole
Yeah. I was
season
gonna say, geez, he's
apologetically.
just like, yeah,
Hashtag triple bikes this whole time,
yeah.
which is awesome.
That's all I ever see. Every
Yeah,
third post in our chats, hashtag triple
he,
bikes.
he, he won his invite at a prime at the FFG headquarters using triple bikes.
Yeah,
It's not
it's
like
a true
Europe
story.
invented this, right? It's been being played here too, and it's honestly interesting. But my thoughts are this in general, regardless of what faction you're playing, I think it's really important when thinking about what lists you're going to bring to have an answer for armor. I don't know if that means you have to. I don't know what that's going to look like for every faction, but you need
Hmm.
to think about it, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's not every clone player there is going to be playing a saber tank, but a bunch of them will be. It's not
Yep.
like every CIS player there is going to be playing an AAT, but some
Hmm.
of them will be.
Yep.
And if you don't have an answer for that, you're probably going to get pretty shredded by that list, I think.
Yep.
Even like double ATST or single ATST or tanks or just anything, triple rotaries. If you don't bring anti armor, if you're doing like a medic Sabs list or some sort of Palpatine list where your only anti armor is like two shore trooper units or something,
Hmm.
I don't know if you're going to be able to hang. We'll see.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. It's just my thought, just a guess. I'm
Yep.
just trying to make some weird meta call here without actually knowing,
Right.
but that's just kind of something I've been thinking about. I know in particular, I've heard the rumblings of this from a lot of Rebel players who are good and play locally, where they're just like, I don't know what I'm going to do against the clone tank. Even if I take Tawns, I don't know if they're going to just get shredded. And do I start stacking like laser cannon RTs and DLTs? Am I trying to put Ion into my list? Like they're kind of scrambling at this point to adjust to this new meta. So that's going to be interesting. I'm excited to see what people are going to be coming up with.
All right, I got a ton of questions for you. So
Got
I'm gonna pose you three. You pick the one that you want.
it.
You can fire me one back if you like. Okay, here's my questions.
All right.
Shore nerf,
Yep.
meaning
Not
comms
that bad.
relay. Yeah, no, fair.
Yeah.
Talk shore nerf. Talk tauntaun or creature trooper changes.
Mhm.
Bid or no bid come worlds.
Ooh. Those are all loaded questions, particularly the last one. Let's go through all of them. Shore nerf. Let's call
Okay.
it a nerf. It's a nerf,
Okay.
right?
It's a nerf.
It is. It
It's
is
a
a nerf.
change. It's a change.
It's a
Yeah, for sure.
change. It's a change that eliminates some of the things that were a little broken and cheesy about that unit.
Yeah.
Is it going to be super disruptive? Absolutely not. Are shore troopers still good?
Very
Totally.
good. Very good.
What I've been seeing, I've seen a couple of things that I thought was interesting, and I've been thinking about a couple of things related to the shore change. One, in most lists, there even if you're running 2 to 3 shores, a lot of the times you're probably going to still get face up orders
Yeah.
almost every turn, right? You play a 3 pip, you're getting face up orders. You
Mhm.
play a 2 pip, you're getting face up orders on 2. I've seen a lot of people building in
Tapping up link.
yeah, comms tech uplinks. So right. So like what does that do to the current meta? If you want to have full control every turn, it means that you're probably cutting one sniper out of your list to put like 3 comms tech uplinks in your list instead. That's not that bad.
Here's my opinion on it. I think the list is still good.
Yeah.
You're now paying a premium for something that you got that I think was way undercosted. By that I mean no cost before.
Right. Like
so you're
that.
you're preserving the list, you're preserving all the best things of it. You're just paying a premium for it now.
The list that I brought to Madison, which was basically a list that multiple other people brought very similar versions of, with the Krennic, Bosk, Death Trooper, Triple Sniper, Shoreline with all the relays, was honestly too cheesy.
Right.
Like, I would say that unapologetically. I was there just to see how that list feels, knowing I would never play it at Worlds, and I just wanted to see like what it was going to do and how exploitative it can be.
Yep.
And it felt too strong and too easy a lot of the times. I was like, it's not fair that you play Bosk's 1 pip and you have like 4 orders on the table and a bunch of aims and surges for free. That was
Right.
dumb. I'm glad they toned that down. You still can do that if you want. What I've found is that a lot of people, this is something that I think is interesting. One, I think having face-up orders on your mortars now, because you can't dish them off, is actually cool.
Yeah.
Because you now can choose on very specific shots if you want to fire support,
Yeah.
which is something people were like never doing at all before because it was always ruled as like suboptimal. I don't think it is. I think it's actually quite strong in very specific corner cases, and you can now choose to do that if you want, which is cool. Also, you could put link for the same 5 points you were paying before. You could put link targeting array on your mortars instead, and they will start with an aim, and then they can double aim, which is a little bit better. The white critical 1 dice pool.
Yeah.
So it's all like not that bad. Like honestly, it just takes the extreme cheesiness away and makes it a little more balanced. Shores are still good. I still think you take them. I don't think you spam them like you did before. I really have been finding that the RTC Stormtroopers are also really good. And I think, go ahead.
Yeah, this is gonna say, this is what I kind of like about this. So we've seen some cost reductions in cards before. We've seen some unit reductions before where points actually changed, right? So this is one where they made a tweak to a card in terms of what it can go on. They didn't change the points at all. So if you were not relying on that trick, or you feel that you can operate without that, there's no added cost to you. So you're not paying anything for that, which I really like. So it's not like
didn't
added...
do what the sniper change did to my Palpatine lists, right?
Yeah.
when they changed snipers and every Palpatine list became illegal.
Yeah.
From year one. Yeah,
there's none of that. And in fact, now it's
right.
like, okay, if you still want to do that thing you were doing before with this small change, now you just need to pay the points for it, but nothing
Yeah.
increased. So I really like
Mhm.
how this sort of settled out. So yeah, it's been called a nerf, and some people, that kind of like Chicken Little Sky is falling right away. We catastrophize the situation immediately by saying it's no longer viable. However, I think it's like a little bit of that. Okay, let's rein it back here a little bit. Let's just
Yeah, it's
rejig. Let's
viable.
reconfigure. Exactly. I
Yeah.
might need to make some changes. In fact, I might be able to find some efficiencies, as you've pointed out, with fire
Mhm.
support and link targeting array.
Right.
So I think
Critical
it,
one is still an
yeah,
extremely strong keyword, right?
yeah,
It's like that has
needed
not changed,
needed
right?
change done right, and I
Mhm.
feel good about it.
Yeah.
Is kind of how I settle out on that one. Okay,
Hmm.
speaking of feeling good about it, I know Chris Kerr's in chat. Actually, Chris Kerr, shout out for the donation tonight. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chris.
Not why I brought your name up though. Somebody feeling a little bit hurt about creature trooper changes.
It was
That
needed.
guy.
It was needed, man.
Now Chris is feeling it because he did so much work to make his tauntauns look fantastic. I'm saying he can still field them, but I
What?
do
Yeah.
feel that creature troopers. I think that it feels like they got hurt badly because they were pretty exploitive. And I'm speaking from a person who
Right.
definitely took advantage of running them. So
Yeah, they're still good. I
they
think.
are,
I think they're still
but
good, and I think that the European Championship proves that. Like they're still. What? How many of them are in the top eight? Like five?
yeah, a lot.
Like it's like they're fine. They're just like they're not overpowered and disgusting and stupid anymore. They're strong yet balanced, I
Yeah.
think. Um, if your other option is what really swap to RTs. RTs have their own limitations for sure.
Yeah.
I play double the fall, and I'm like I do not fear ATRTs whatsoever. Like I have two rockets in my list. Usually, just those two rocket shots can kill one. If
Yeah.
not, it does 5 wounds instead of 6, and then my critical like E5S just finishes it off. Right?
Yeah.
They die in droves to specific lists. They're gonna die in droves to tanks. Like
Yeah,
I
this is the thing. AAT, like I said, it's
right.
basically the tauntaun killer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do I think that like, oh, now all of a sudden everyone just needs to throw their tauntauns away and go dust off their RTs?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I think now more than ever, rebels have an interesting list building choice instead of like a guaranteed one is just infinitely better than the other. Right?
Yeah.
It's now like, hey, what's my flavor? Do I want to stack some astromechs and play some rotaries that are very difficult to kill and combo that with R2? Do
Hmm.
I want to still run Tawns and maybe run Chewie or some Wookiees or something up the back line with them and do some crazy plays like that? Um, yeah, I think Wookiees or fleets. Like I know some people have been talking about fleets. I know some people have been talking about Wookiees. I know Jason Birdwell like loves following his Tawns up with Wookiees.
Hmm.
Those things still exist. Those lists are still super strong. You know, I,
Yeah.
I, I don't think
Just
it's
a
that bad.
just a small piece of Star Wars lore that probably no one knew about, but AAT actually means just all at tauntauns. So
Yeah,
that's what it stands for. They're just yeah.
that's their. If you're playing against rebels,
Yeah.
that's what you do to
Yeah,
them.
you just
if you're
shoot.
if you have an AAT, you should try to line up shots at those tauntauns.
Yeah, it's like,
Like
wow,
that's what they do. Yep.
fantastic. You got 3 dodge tokens. Oh, fantastic. Just
It's
set those aside as you set aside your tauntaun bodies too.
it's almost as if tauntauns were balanced around a world and a meta where AATs existed,
Yeah.
and yet AATs just took a super long time to come
Yeah,
out.
exactly. Yeah. Fair. Yeah. We wouldn't have been having this tauntaun conversation if the tanks got here quicker. So, but they're only
Yeah.
speed 1, so of course they're slow getting here. Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fitting. It's fitting that we got it. So, okay, so that's Creature Troopers. A few other changes, obviously. The one that was needed, I had always said, even as a player of Tauntauns, that disengage just was too powerful. You 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 could leapfrog from unit to unit to unit almost with unimpeded, and you were always protected by that crash in. I think that ability to, or the inability, I guess I should say, to leave at speed 3 and just have that speed 1 move, while it's still great that they have that and they trigger relentless and they get their dodge tokens, it just feels bad because it's so muted. However, if that's where they
Yeah.
started, I don't know if we're having the same conversation. I still think that we say,
Right.
hey, man, disengage is a good rule, and not having to
Right.
spend, all your actions to do that is good. But of course, we have a
Totally.
different precedent set by Tauntauns, and we had such a long run where they were seemingly a very dominant unit in the game, that I think this one just stings a bit more than the comms relay change.
Yeah. Or were you just winning with an overpowered unit?
I mean, that's what
I
I
don't
was
know.
doing. That's, I mean, that's,
Yeah.
I mean,
Like
I'm a crutch player, so bring
for
on,
hey, for those
yeah,
of us who
yeah,
refused to play Tauntauns on principle and still did well this season,
yeah.
all right.
For
It's
those with no
like
morals and values, this is what Joe's really actually saying. The undertone there, you know, yeah, referring solely to me. He's not offending any of our listeners for
no,
sure.
yeah.
But
It's
yeah,
only the Canadians.
yeah, I'm actually switching
Just kidding.
over to I'm actually playing Pokemon now because I don't know what to do after Tauntauns came out. So,
Oh man,
or after the Tauntaun
did you
change.
sell your Hello Kitty Island Adventure core set?
Yeah, but
Dang
I
it.
ordered another one on Amazon and I have
Okay.
Amazon Prime, so I'll get that tomorrow. So we're good. Yeah.
Well, it might be delayed.
It's only
You know,
yeah, it's coming just latent with yeah, yeah,
just
it's bad.
riddled with viral infections and
Wow.
yeah.
I shouldn't talk too loud. My wife's already works up the hysteria around that. So yeah, I told her we work in schools. We're immune to that stuff. So
Right. It's fine.
yeah,
Your immune system is strong,
it's
right?
pretty
You're around
strong. Yeah,
kids all day.
it's absolutely
Yeah.
strong. Yeah, for sure. All right, fantastic. All right, so the last question, and Jay was hoping we got to this one first, but here we are. Bid or no bid?
So I think it just 100% depends on faction and list. For me, unlikely that I'm going to bid more than 4 points, and the only reason I would even bid 4 points is just because the list works out that way.
Right.
Uh, just from the lists I've been looking at. Do I think Rebels? I think Rebels are the easiest faction to bid with.
Yep.
Um, and do I think that they should? 100%. Like I think they should bid big if they can.
So what?
Like
So what's big? So give me like extreme bids where you think it's like too much. Where's the bid that's probably going to win you priority? Where's a nice happy medium to come out? And of course, give me the deal on no bidding at all. And is there
here's
actually a strategy there?
here's my strategy. If you have C3PO in your list, cut them. That's your bid.
So
Take a
15,
15-point
15.
bid.
Okay.
Yes. If
Okay.
you really like, okay, and here's why. Especially if you're rebels. Rebels are very soft, squishy targets.
Yep.
And in a world where the tank can like one shot stuff, I think board edge is extremely important, right? He's saying 750 is his normal bid. I respect it. What are you, Nick Freeman?
Yeah. Fair. I mean,
Yeah.
hello. Here we go.
But
We're
no,
giving them he's getting the horn. He got the horn.
yeah. But for real though, I do think particularly for rebels, if you can, depending on how you're building your list, I don't think there's a hard and fast rule for this, but if you can bid big, bid big. I think big by my definition is like 15. I think anything more than 20 is like extreme. Do I
Yeah.
think there's going to be like one person out there that does it? Probably. I've seen it before. Rick has been known to play 780-point lists.
Crazy. Crazy.
Yeah, but I will say, like, if you can do it, do it, because I think having the advantage of board edge selection and your cards can really make a big difference in the world's meta. Can clones bid like that? Probably not. You know,
No.
like I've been struggling to build any sort of clone list that I thought could win a game with more than a 7-point bid. Double the fall usually to get what you want to get in that list is like 799.
Yeah.
Palpatine lists very rarely bid. I have built a 792 point list that I like with Palpatine, but it also exploited comms relay stuff, so I haven't built a new list for him specifically after the changes, so I haven't even been like focusing on that.
Right.
Um, but yeah, that's my thought. I mean, is a 5 point bid healthy? Kind of, because there are going to be those 799 double the fall lists there.
Yeah.
It's gonna occasionally guarantee you blue, but it's not something like where you can walk in with confidence and say, "I'm taking a 5 point bid. I'm gonna be blue every time." If you're taking a 15 point bid, chances are you're probably gonna be blue every time. Most likely, I'm thinking.
So
Might
here's
be
here's
wrong.
my here's my theory. I love 7 point bids, and I'll tell you why. I
Mhm.
think at 7 point, there's the majority of people will find a 4 to 6 point upgrade to
Yeah.
knock them down to a two to like a one or to a no point bid at all.
Mhm.
So I'm purposefully saying I'm not taking something. There's something in my list that I am willing to negate to keep at that 7 points. So I
Mhm.
really like that threshold. One of the places I hate to be is I hate to be at a 3 point bid where I haven't taken E gear or recon intel or something like that, and I've lost every single time. Like I hate being at that threshold. I
Mhm.
feel that 5 is potentially okay. However, typically what I'll try to do is if I'm 5 points out, I'm just probably going to press for red player most times, fill
Yeah.
my roster to 800 so that I'm almost guaranteed to be able to go red. So
Yeah.
7 I really like. I like existing in that space. That's my personal preference. If I get outbid to somebody who's going 20 points or 11 points, I kind of have to take that lump.
Yeah. It's,
Um,
hey, they're giving up power to
yeah.
take that big of a bid, right?
At that
They're,
range, they're actually giving up probably a body. They're giving up a wound
they're
somewhere.
giving up like a heavy,
Yeah,
potentially. If you're
right.
talking 20 point bids, that's
Yeah,
pretty extreme.
that is pretty
Um,
extreme. But anything
However,
above 7, I feel like you're almost giving
yeah,
up a body in most cases.
right. No, I agree. I do think that there is something to be said about quote unquote red player advantage in very specific lists. Like I actually don't hate playing double the fall as red, and in fact, most of the
No,
time I am red
yeah, that's what
because
my
like
experience as well.
right, you get last veto. You
Yeah,
get last veto. And like if you can force limited viz, you're probably gonna win the game. Right? So that's one of the things that's like really strong. The other thing is like um having an 8 activation list like double the fall or like double tank or even some of these other like Obi-Wan clone tank lists and stuff that I've seen floating around. Being red means not only last veto but also like a delayed deployment placement over your
hmm,
opponent, and any time that you can see more of the board set up before you place like your Dooku or your Grievous or something like that or your Obi-Wan or something is not bad.
right.
I think. So yeah, it doesn't matter if it's like I'm an 8 activation list against your 12. You're just like you're gonna put your 3 rotaries down last or whatever your tawns. I'm just gonna have to deal with it. But like when it's 8 versus 8 or 8 versus 9, being red as an 8 activation list is like not always that bad. I think.
Right.
Um, Again, though, like being blue with specific lists is very strong. And if you build your list around like an objective gimmick, like I'm really going to try to force R2 into your zone every time, or I'm really going to try to like force breakthrough with a Tauntaun list or something. In that case, I think like bidding and playing and being blue is really worth it. So I think it just depends. There's a just different philosophy for different players and different lists.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, I got a couple more for you.
Okay.
All worlds related. Okay. Expectations and apprehensions. A, around terrain.
Uh huh.
2, around time and pace of play.
All right. Terrain apprehensions.
Yep.
Okay.
Given we're going to have a ton of
So I'm
people,
assuming,
lots of tables.
right. It's definitely the biggest Legion tournament as far as I'm aware to date. And LVO is quite a large tournament, and Brendan's going to be probably bringing a lot of the terrain, just like he brought a lot of the terrain to LVO. So I've seen, between last year's Adepticon and Gen Con and LVO, I've seen a lot of those tables, right? And
Yep.
I think they're very good. Um, I I'm not super worried about the terrain being like super gamey or bad. The one thing I am worried about is that we're existing in a world right now where I'm predicting that there's going to be quite a few new players bringing tanks,
Yeah.
and tanks have only been um, basically in the meta before Worlds happens for a few weeks. So
Yeah.
there's just not, the jury's still out. There's not a ton of data on like how these things are going to function and what they need to do. And I do fear that some tables may potentially be too dense because they were designed around like an older mentality for the game. And
Yep.
now you could potentially find yourself in a situation where if there's not a ton of thought given to the tables, which I'm not saying that's the case. I know that a lot of thought is given to the tables. I know that those guys like get together and like pour over that, and I respect them for that and that effort and time. But if you deploy your tank and there's like not a lot of places you can move, or there's not a lot of shots you can take because there's so many line of sight blockers in that dense like city table, you can find that your list just gets completely shut down.
Yep.
And I think that's just one of the gambles of playing tanks that you're just going to have to understand. Tanks are one of those units that can be burned by terrain.
Yes.
So that's one of their balancing points,
So
I
I can
think.
say with great clarity that none of the major events
Hmm.
prior
Yeah.
were probably taking into account 6-inch round bases.
Yes. Yeah. They
That
didn't have to.
that just wasn't a factor in the
No.
equation.
No.
My apprehension is, and I'm quite confident that it will be taken into consideration.
Yeah,
However,
for
I
sure.
have that apprehension that potentially, because we don't really have a frame of reference and maybe a long-standing mentality of building tables,
Right.
as you've indicated, that they may not be appropriate yet.
Yeah.
We
It
don't
could.
know. Like it
It,
could go, it
yeah.
could skew, right? It could be
It.
fantastic. It's like,
Yeah.
they need this room, they need to have, and there's
Right.
these
Right. Right.
huge lanes, and it's like, whoa, that's fantastic for, tanks to go double wide down, but how do I possibly move troops through that?
Right. Well,
Or,
it becomes one of these things where I think this year's Worlds is just a straight up litmus test.
yep,
Like I'm actually not putting a lot of stock into like the results of this year's Worlds, because the way I see it is like, one, there was a season where we had two like super broken combos in the Tauntauns and the Shoreline that got nerfed right before Worlds. So I like legitimately think that like those were exploitable all season, and there's going to
hmm
be some like people at Worlds that were winning because of those. Also, I think that like without the tanks being in the meta for the last year, table design philosophy is totally just being like thrown. It's like last minute, here you go, massive change to the game,
yep,
right? So I feel, and like, and we had this weird prime system and invite system, and the people who couldn't afford to travel to all this stuff had less opportunities to even play at
yep,
Adepticon. There's no silhouettes, even though those are going to be a thing. So like, I think next year's Worlds is going to be a lot better than this year's Worlds. This year's Worlds is just going to be like, all right. But yeah, I really think that like this year's Worlds is going to be a learning experience to make next year's Worlds amazing
okay,
from so many
yeah,
different reasons, right? Like that's what I'm thinking.
and
Yeah.
I'm gonna asterisk this with, I am not presuming to know anyone's financial situation. However, travel to Worlds for some people is more expensive than others. We've
Yeah.
just had phase two B2s, AATs, Saber tanks dropping.
Hmm.
They're of the most expensive models that we've seen, or in that range.
Right.
Now people trying to plan financially to travel to a big event. Adepticon's big. Maybe you're planning to spend money there, that sort of stuff. I wonder how
Right.
much of an influence buying all these new units or not wanting to buy all these new units because you're going to a seemingly major event. And as you said, this is going to be a big one, so lots of people are going. So I wonder how much of a factor that plays. And for some, it's maybe not. But
Well, I think it is a
on
factor. I think
and
it's absolutely a
and let me
factor.
just add one more
Yeah.
thing. With
Yeah.
that caveat, we do know that
Mhm.
people are able to get them, and some people aren't.
Right.
And so that
Like,
is a complete, like a curveball in there that you
yeah.
may have all the money to buy them, but no availability to buy them, or all the availability, but potentially you've kind of, I'm not saying you didn't financially plan well enough, but that's not in the books for you. However, now you do have to factor that in that there may be other people with them, and maybe your local meta just doesn't have any practice, or people don't have them, or people just aren't buying them right now.
Like, is there a crazy eBay market right now for the Saber tank to Canada? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, if I charged a Canadian $200 for a Saber tank, would they pay it just to practice for Worlds?
no, because I already have.
No,
Just saying.
I'm not
I'm
saying
just,
you.
I'm just
I'm just
kidding.
saying, like, that's
Yeah,
weird, right? Like,
yeah,
you guys are having a delay. We're not, but I can't get B2s anywhere. There
right.
was like one box available at the Prime, and someone scooped it up immediately.
Yeah,
I can't get them. The store that I ordered from, this is a weird thing with like the store I ordered my Saber tanks and Phase twos from. They delayed my order because they misread the bill of materials and thought I had B2s on it, and
right,
emailed me today and was like, "We're so sorry. We thought you had B2s and we haven't gotten them yet, but you didn't. So we're going to send you them right away, and then also include like an extra little gift in there for your patients." And I was
right.
like, "Oh, okay, thank you." So I still don't have my Saber tanks yet,
Yeah,
but I'll be getting them this week. But like, B2s are like not delayed, but like super limited availability. It's really weird, right? So
yeah.
yeah, that does change. Like, you could proxy stuff, right? A B2 is just a trooper. Like,
You
take your
you
Royal
can,
Guard,
but
whatever. Like,
you can't at Adepticon is what I'm
ex-
saying.
right.
Yeah,
And weirdly, like, I think you'll be able to buy them no problem at Adepticon, but B2s have to be painted, unlike the AAT.
right.
So
So it's
you,
just this weird. There's a bunch of
yeah,
weird compounding effects that,
right,
and
right.
they're not all linked to money, but they may be. And like I said, the availability of things and having to travel and all that. So, if this is 6 months out and it's like, oh yeah, I want to take these, but I'm gonna get them now, and I have they're all dropping now. And for some people, they might not be dropping until you might not get them till the week before you have to leave, or the week you have to leave. And yeah, it's just plain old expensive. I mean, plane ticket for me is a lot. I mean, accommodations are on the cheap.
Right.
I basically work for sleep at
I've got to
Joe's place. So
I've got to say this. Like, I am extremely fortunate that Adepticon's in my state,
yeah,
right? Like, we're gonna make a 45-minute drive, and we got to get up extra early to find parking spots, but that's the worst of it.
yeah,
Whereas, like, and I know this now explicitly because of like our token sales, is that like I had a guy message me from Japan being
wow,
like, "Can you hold a set for me? I won a prime. I'm going to be at Adepticon."
that's
We had a guy,
fantastic.
we had a guy from Russia. We had a guy like a bunch of people from Europe, and then of course tons of people from all over the U.S. and Canada. So it's like, man, how much does it cost for that guy from Japan to get here?
Yeah,
Right?
seriously.
And well, I mean, maybe a little cheaper than it would have 2 months ago because coronavirus is like killing
Yeah,
the flight prices, but still, it's a lot of money, right?
yeah.
International flights are very expensive.
Well, I mean,
So
and
yeah,
and you have hotel costs and all that stuff. So, like I said,
right.
$60 or
Vacation equivalent.
whatever your
Right,
models are, don't
right,
necessarily make it compounding for everyone.
right.
However, it is for some, and they're not cheap. And the thing is, and we got releases all together. So, and because the B2s and Phase twos are a little bit more expensive than the other kits, there's just that added bit too. I'm not griping about prices or anything like that. So
No,
Jay's pointing out too here. I'm not sure how you feel about this, but he's surprised that they're even legal for Worlds. I'm not, because I
no,
think the showcase element of Worlds is a huge driving factor for getting these things out, and I think that probably influence. I know that the shipment delays and all that sort of pushed the tanks back. However, I'm sure that this was probably a driving force between FFG and OP just saying, "Hey, we need to. Can we make this accommodation? Can we make this allowance? Because this is the place to show these tanks."
Yeah. The tanks needed to be legal for this reason, Jay. CIS just went from having 3 competitive lists to like 6 with the release of one model,
Hmm.
right? And when you have like the 2 original factions that have like, 10 plus lists that they can build that are competitively viable, it kind of sucks as someone who's playing the new factions to have like 3 or even maybe 1 that you feel good about,
Yeah.
right? So the AAT adds a lot to that from a diversity perspective. So that's good. I'm glad that they are legal. But it is what it is. You can't control supply chain a lot of the times, right? It's
Right.
not FFG's fault.
Yep.
The FFG can't make the boats get here any faster from China, right? That's out of their hands completely.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
Seemingly those boats may be already here too, and it may just be
Quarantine, yeah,
exactly. Um,
yep,
okay, fair enough.
yeah,
So we've covered that off. We know they're going to be there. We're anticipating that we're going to see. I know for a fact we're going to see more tanks than we did last year at Worlds for
mm-hmm.
sure. I say that with great confidence. But I'm anticipating quite a bit. Earlier vote indicated that Saber was probably going to be the most prevalent of the tanks. I don't
Yeah.
disagree with
I
that for sure.
I agree. Just because people have had it in their hands for the
Yeah.
longest amount of time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So the other point that I wanted to say, and maybe we'll wrap up on this one here, apprehensions, expectations around pace of play and sort of time or turn limitations. Everyone is going to be having. I feel it. Not to say it's not going to be friendly. It's going to be, but we got more on the line. We got a world's title on the line.
hmm.
Every game is probably going to be. I'm expecting high level
Am
and
I? Yeah, I know for sure. Of course.
contentious, right? Not in a
Yeah,
negative sense, but just tight.
yeah. No, 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 no. There's not going to be. I don't think there's going to be a lot of tabling going on, right?
Hmm.
Um, yeah, because again, like I said, pretty much everyone had to earn their spot there. So you're talking about people who are competing at a essentially like a tier above maybe like the average tournament player. However, in terms of time, I don't think it's going to be too big of a problem, but it could be. Um, I think that what's weird is we just got this new rule about like using one movement stick, and
Hmm.
I honestly love the rule because to me it should speed up the game. But I can also see for some of those players the trigonometry people who like to just
GTS it.
yeah, ultimate optimization, right? Like, blah. Those guys are just going to be like, okay, I'm going to put a stick down and put my finger here, and then I'm going to put a stick down and put and like you can still kind of game it and take a super long time, which sucks. And you just can't change people from being people, right? It is what it is. Like it's a personality type. I get it. But overall, I think that what I've noticed is in my last primes, and I'm talking about maybe like the last 3 primes I went to, I never once saw like the 2.5 hour round as being not enough time to finish a 6 round game, or even like finish a 5 round game and call it like a tabling or a concession.
Right.
Um, I've, in fact, like this weekend, I probably finished every game and got to sit around for 45 plus minutes.
Right.
So, yeah, so like, do I think it's going to be a problem? Maybe for a few people, but for the most part, no. I think 2.5 hours is like a great time limit. I think it's fine.
On the topic of the measuring, Joe, what do you think the addition of being able to now use the movement tool as a measuring device is going to do in terms of either speeding it up or slowing it down? I very much feel that the ability to, because before you use a range ruler and you'd be
Mhm.
anticipating if you were moving around corners or having to kind of anticipate what that how much distance would I lose going around the bend of a building or a terrain feature where I got to kind of keep that buffer. Now the ability to just put the actual movement template down where I can articulate the movement stick to get exactly where I am, I feel to me that's going to be a slowing factor.
Really,
Where
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, it could be. Again, I guess it depends on the player. I haven't even found that I really need to. Like at
right.
this whole prime, I was just like, I have all the ranges memorized, so I found that I was just using my range stick anyway. Now, could that change? Sure. I like the option of being able to lay the stick down at any time. It's going to make sure that if you want to round a corner and do something that, like you said, I think that's actually kind of a cool, good thing. I also think you super telegraph your play
Yeah,
when
that's
you
I
start
was right
measuring
there
stuff.
with you. Right there
Yeah,
with
like
you.
anyone
Yep.
who's doing that, I'm like,
Thanks.
oh, that's exactly what you're doing. Cool.
Yep.
Okay. Like, I don't know if it's actually going to be something a lot of the high level competitive people are going to want to telegraph
Yep.
because when you're using a measuring stick, you're not in that person's head, right?
Yep.
They can be using that measuring stick and calculating any number of things and you wouldn't know. But when they start using a movement tool and like shifting it around the corner and stuff, you're like, oh, that's what you're going to do. Okay. Right?
He-
Like,
Here's a
so,
question that I had, and there's a rules question as well. So we'll get to that in a second, there, David. I'm not gonna miss that one. Here's a question that I had that I wasn't quite clear about. You can pre-measure at any point using one movement and one range ruler of some size, correct?
yeah, any size essentially.
Can I, as an opponent, also be using one movement and one range ruler
Yes.
at a time while you are simultaneously
I think
using them?
so. I think
Because
so.
because I think that is there potentially a clever way where it's like, oh, I see what you're measuring out. I can't do that measurement myself, but now can I just add a ruler to the end of yours and simultaneously measure?
I think so. That's so like corner case, and
Yeah,
I
but
don't
that's where
think
I
that.
live. That's where I live in
Yeah,
the
no,
corners, so
no,
you
no,
know
no, no.
that. So
Hey, man,
yeah.
you buddy.
I'm like,
I'm
hey, that's really cool that you've got that down there. Do you mind just, can I see that again and then lay mine, down? It's like, it's not a rules violation,
that's
but
what I thought.
yeah,
Triangulation. According to
exact.
my calculations.
Yes.
Yeah,
What I have on
yeah,
here? I got a new hashtag right here. It's don't do geometry, kids. So
yeah, yeah.
we
TTS.
yeah, we're not attempting to to live in the math, but it's just something that came up when I was thinking about that. I was like, so Joe measures his movement and puts down a range ruler, and I'm curious, like, okay, you got that down there. I'm now curious about, you're at range three. I want to know, does a double move get me in? So I'm going to put down my range three ruler here too, and a movement template over here.
Mhm.
And I normally can't do that, but at that moment I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting.
So yeah, I mean, hey,
We got
go.
six months to exploit this, folks. Six months.
I don't think it's game breaking.
Yeah,
It's not like it's more or less game breaking than what you've always been able to do anyway with multiple
fair,
sets. So
fair. Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Um, okay, yes, Alex Davies said that on Natara Scoundrels today. Okay, I haven't listened to the Scoundrels, but apparently he speaks about that. So, okay, interesting.
I didn't think Alex was even on that show, so it's
I
probably Luke.
think, yeah. Well, maybe. I mean, there might be some confusion around that, but anyway, I'll listen and just make sure that I get, if my answer's there, it's there. But David has this question here. He has a fringe rule question that came up on Sunday. I'll put it up on the cast, but it will disappear before I finish reading. A stormtrooper unit was shooting at a unit at range 4. Okay, I'm tracking.
Yeah.
Only one model was shooting. Is line of sight always drawn from the unit leader to determine cover? There was
No.
no
Yes.
cover. Yeah,
Yes.
there was no
Yes.
cover if
Yes.
measured from the shooting unit for model, but heavy cover if measured from the unit leader. Yes, you just go right from the unit
Always.
leader, and if he can't see, that's perfectly fine.
Check this out.
You,
This came up at our prime. This
yep,
actually came up at our prime in like, okay, range is always measured from the unit leader.
yes,
Cover is always determined from the unit leader, regardless. If there is like one model that can see and your unit leader is staring at a wall, you can still shoot,
yep,
but you determine cover, which obviously it's going to be heavy cover because your unit leader's staring at a wall. So you determine cover from the unit leader, you determine range from the unit leader. The models that are contributing dice have to have line of sight to at least one mini in that spot,
Yeah.
right? And then you take all the minis that can be seen by all the minis that are doing the shooting, and those are the minis that are eligible to take wounds.
Here's another
So,
interesting point to that as well, Joe. What if your unit leader is range 3 to their unit leader through a building? You cannot see
yep,
each other, but the
yep.
other model is visible. A lot of people
Hmm.
think that you got to measure to the visible model from the unit leader. So just keep in mind, even if it goes right through a building, you first measure that as your range, and then
Hmm.
you determine your cover. But
Yeah.
then it's visible
Range is
models
closest, range is unit leader to closest mini,
closest.
even if you can't see him. Yep.
Exactly. That's another one
Yep.
people often forget. They think they have to go to the first visible model or the only
No.
visible model.
A
Yeah.
lot of people, this is the thing that a lot of people think, and I've seen this come up so many times, and it's funny that it's even still coming up in year 3 in primes. People are like, my DLT is range 4. The rest of my stormtroopers are range 3. My stormtroopers can't see, but my DLT can. So I'm going to measure range 4 from the DLT. No, it's
Yep.
always from the unit leader.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, so
So,
good. Yeah,
yeah.
that's how that works. Yep.
David's pointing out. By the way, thank you, David. Said it's
Yeah, good
good that we're
question.
answering player. Oh, well, he's appreciating the fact that we're stopping to answer player questions.
Yeah.
That's truthfully, what this podcast is all about. So,
Yeah.
we're just musing kind of about worlds. We'll kind of have some more like worlds focused things, but this is important. Player questions, we have them. This is just a kind of a chat derived and directed by Joe and I, but by all means, we look for participants throughout. So. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, so we're prepping for Worlds. Obviously, we're trying to play test some things. We're in this kind of weird flux. Joe's doesn't have tanks. He's got tank in hand, but not both. Doesn't have
Right.
B2s. Maybe wants to play test them. I have nothing currently. It's all in route. Got the soup cans on 6-inch discs. That's about what we got for
Yeah.
tanks right now. But
Right.
so it doesn't preclude you from practicing, but there is kind of no
Mhm.
replacement specifically for the tanks. I want to see like what's the profile look like, what kind of
Right.
we have a lot of 3D printed terrain as well, which people have. And so when you're trying to like match up, it's like, oh, does it hide behind this? Does it go over that? Joe and I were
Right.
speculating last night, like what pieces of terrain are going to grant that saber tank cover? What
This
pieces
is
can it
yeah, yeah.
freely move over? Like
Yes.
things we want to know.
Here's a rule of thumb just to keep that in mind if you are proxying. First of all, if you guys are out there and you have a 3D printer but you haven't got your tanks yet, I'm pretty sure the file for the base is out on Thingiverse. If you want to 3D print it, you can proxy.
Right.
So that's cool. So we'll start
Hmm.
by saying that. It's a
Yep.
quick print too, like honestly a half-hour print. Okay. The other thing is this. We know based on the email that the AAT is 10 centimeters tall.
4 inches. Yep.
Yes. So I would say, I would venture a guess that to say that if you're looking at any piece of terrain that's 5 centimeters or shorter, you can drive over it. That's
Yep.
usually a good rule of thumb, right?
Yeah.
So look at your range 1 stick, and if it's about half or so of the size, maybe a little smaller, it can pretty much freely move over it without issue.
Yep.
That's how I would rule it.
Hmm.
So if that helps at all, hopefully.
Yeah. It's just we're kind of it's such a tight window to properly prepare. So I kind of like the X factor that it's going to provide for Worlds because I mean you can do this. You can play the list that you have now, the available units, the units that you've been playing forever, and just solidify your reps with that and go in knowing that hey, I might run into a tank, but I don't have to learn how to play it myself. I just need to be prepared for what it outputs. At the AAT or Saber. You got
Mm.
other players who are like, hey, finally something I can add to my clone list. I've been playing this core group of clones, the phase ones. Even phase twos are going to be new for that matter. I got Rex or Obi or some combination of that. So you got some core elements that you've probably been practicing.
Right.
Then you have other people who are going to be like, you know what, I'm going to run I'm gonna run double tank AAT. I'm gonna run some B2s in there. I've been running double the fall, but now I'm gonna go single commander. I haven't done that before, so it's
Mhm.
like that's a whole new mix. And I'm not
Right.
saying the lists are bad. I'm just saying your repetitions with that are going to be fairly limited.
Yeah.
So there's that weird sort of influx mode where a lot of people are. Um, Rebels, as Joe's pointed out, okay, well, my naked rebels that kind of hid before, I don't know, like a double tap in AAT to naked rebel squads, you have the potential to one shot them. No
Hmm.
dodge tokens, no nimble, no nothing.
Right.
It's a quite a high model, so maybe it's seeing over things, and yeah, there's just you're not getting reps in against those, and maybe potentially in your area you don't have them. So I kind of like what it's doing.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, for
I'm
sure. Man, I'm in the camp now where I don't think naked rebels are good. I think that you need to put heavies back on them
mm,
because I think there's. Well, we'll see. We'll see what those tauntaun lists do. Like,
yeah.
but I'm
We
like,
didn't.
man, every naked rebel list I've ever faced with double the fall, I just got my heroes in there and like wiped all their core units like really fast.
Okay.
So it's like, I don't know.
Last question. I'm going to pose it to chat too. I'm going to post it to Joe. Real quick conversation.
Yep.
What are we seeing for LVO? We saw kind of all kinds of, we were ranged from that. I mean, there's a few skew lists, but 12 was skew. So like 11, 10, we kind of lived in that upper echelon. Is that coming down to worlds? And if so, where are we gonna fall for the mean
I still
in
think
terms
I still think the mean is 10,
10?
and I still think you see 12, and I still think you see 8.
Do you think we see more eights and nines than we did at LVO or less?
I think so because of the
So
tanks, right?
armor, yeah, me too.
Right.
Me
It's
too.
it's it's
That's
like you could play double the fall, or you can play Dooku tank and it's still 8 activations.
Yeah, you can play Obi tank if you want,
Right.
or yeah,
You can usually with like in an R2 Rex single tank list, it's 9x,
yeah. We didn't get
right?
into R2 much. We should talk. We'll talk about R2 based on what he's going to do to Worlds, in an upcoming episode. Because
Dude, I love R2 because I've seen multiple people play him so differently.
yeah,
And I like that, but I also hate him.
yeah,
But I love it.
fair, fair,
Like it's my little buddy.
fair.
But
Like
I
geometry, Joe loves and hates it. So
I'm more of
yeah,
a calculus guy than a
yeah,
geometry.
fair, fair. Yeah, I just like trying to figure out ways to grayscale rules. So, you
Yeah.
know, I like gray models. I like gray area and rules. I just like to ask questions. So
Oh,
the
it's
thing is, I
good.
should give this impression. I love gray area and rules, but I try to be very transparent when I play games. So I'm not
Yeah.
trying to like, if you ever play me on the table, I'm not trying to pull any fast ones. I just like to ask those questions
Am
that
I
can be asked.
allowed to do this?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to know before I get like hard fouls. I just just truthfully wondering what I can and can't do. So
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't see
So
anything in the RRG about clear token bags though. Like I
I
thought
was
for
took it right out of my mouth. I was like, "Oh man, let's flashbacks of Gen Con. Can I use a
fair.
Ziploc bag to pull my activation tokens out?"
I mean, according to the RRG, I saw nothing in reference to that, so I still
Right.
feel that clear bags are
Right.
100% legal.
Right.
Yeah. And
Right.
man, are our Legion Academy tokens ever going to look darn good through those clear bags? You know what we should do? People were asking us about bags. We need to go out and just get a pack of 50 Ziplocs.
Yeah.
Now with
Legion Academy order
yeah,
token bags.
yeah,
Yeah.
now with bags.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Free of charge. We aren't even going to try to charge people extra for that. So, yeah. Hey, look at this. Darren's in. Darren can vouch. We played. We played. Just got to put
Yeah.
that up there for
Nice.
posterity and for legality sense. So, yeah. Fair. No, Darren was also a fantastic opponent. So,
Yeah.
playing clones for sure. So, clear Legion Academy token bags. Jay's loving it. I think it's the best idea we've had all night.
I think
In
so
fact,
too.
in fact, I
I
might even
love
give myself a DJ horn right now.
it.
Boom, done. Jeez. Yeah, just let your opponent randomly choose your token. I'm fine with that. Krabak says you got to let your opponent fine. That's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
You can make suggestions, be like, I don't know if you want that one.
Yeah,
That's
that.
not the token I'm looking for.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
Are you sure
yeah,
you want that?
yeah.
Okay.
Can you call a judge on your own token pulling antics? I don't know. Sure. I'm not sure. I'm not trying to get hard fouled on this one. So
Yeah, no.
yeah, wicked. All right, Joe. Let's just exit here. We'll give one final plug for a couple other things. Please keep in mind, folks, Friday Night Fights is rolling on Friday. Not sure who's casting yet. Joe is yet to be determined if he's going to be there. Getting lots of calls for you though, Joe. So if you can make it, I think people are gladly
Fair enough.
listening.
I'm going to try to be there. I'm
Yeah,
definitely going to try to be there.
Yeah, it sounds to me like a lot of the casters that are vying to be on there are just truthfully looking to be on there to throw shade at the other players. So I'm also
Okay.
I fully approve that. I mean,
Yeah, that's what Friday Night Fights is all about, right?
Yeah.
JR is slobbering here.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, somebody's coming off the top turnbuckle for sure, flying elbows. It's a thing.
The
And
that's coming off.
yeah, for sure. I think we need to start having like because I have like a kind of an entryway here. So
No, you should get a bell. You should get a ring bell.
okay.
Like,
And what about if we start forcing players to introduce themselves?
yeah, yeah.
Like aggressively
play a song and have them walk down the stairs or whatever and like flex and stuff.
Yeah, wow.
Man, I want to see someone get clubbed over the head with the ring bell.
This is turning into quite the enterprise. Quite the enterprise. Anyways, tune in Friday, 7 p.m. Central. It's going to be good. I can't even say what it's going to be at this point. So it's just evolving. It's an ever evolving process. And as well, we just want to shout out to our supporters. By the way, Chris Kerr, you're not on there because I didn't live type you in, but Chris Kerr will be added to there as well as Michael, Nathan, Mike Nielsen, Al, Jeff, and Nick. So thanks a lot, guys. 270, and I'll have to add Chris's in. So we're slightly closer to that 700 and creeping on up there. So we look forward to bringing you guys further production quality. The 800, I know people are calling for it. We will have it. It's coming. It'll be fantastic. And of course, it's just going to enhance our Friday Night Fights. Maybe we'll have a player only camp, backstage footage, and all the great things that we can bring you guys. So I have nothing else for tonight, Joe. Yourself?
Yeah, I'll say this. As soon as I get those poker chips in hand, which they're saying the Monday before Adepticon, we'll put up pictures.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Pretty
just
hype.
look for Joe. He'll be the guy that's weighted down by 3,500 tokens.
No.
Chips.
Not just me.
Okay.
I'm making you help.
You know what? I have a proxy. I got Jace with me, so he will. Never mind. Jace will be the guy with the 3,500 tokens. It just happened. Yeah.
You gotta pay for that couch spot somehow, Jace.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh no, I wasn't kidding.
I was, but you.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Fair enough.
It's a Canadian tax. Just say that. So. All right, guys. We're getting calls for playing them out on the song, so we'll let you guys go. We'll catch you guys Friday for sure. And till then, guys, see you guys next week. Cheers. We'll give you guys a couple seconds of the song here on the way out.
Have a great week.